Good afternoon and welcome to NYCryptoTalk. Today's ICO review is going to be on Friend. What is Friend? Well, Friend is a virtual cloud computer based on the blockchain. Think of Amazon Web Services built on top of the blockchain, allowing for a digital ecosystem platform. Friend provides developers with a powerful open source framework that will allow freedom from technology silos. And basically what they're going to do is allow for instant implementation. Friend is going to allow for users to be able to access their virtual friend machine from any type of device. So this model is basically allowing individuals to have a cloud computer on the blockchain. So it's a very interesting project integrating with existing platforms. It's a very unique take on implementing something similar to Amazon Web Services on the blockchain. So aggregating all these data silos and integrating them into one ecosystem that a user can utilize or a business can utilize. For the most part, I'm going to take a lot of the information off their website because they do actually break down most of what they have in the white paper on their website and make it a lot more easy to understand. So I'll go through their website, I will go through their white paper, and I will also go through my personal opinion about the project and the token information. So going to their website first, basically you see here where they say, welcome to the Friend unifying platform. We now have opened our pre-sale and our token generating event is right around the corner. So you can join the pre-sale, and then once the whitelist is available, you can actually go there. You can actually try the demo, and you'll basically log in and you create an account, and they will send you information so you can actually play around with their operating system that they have built on the cloud already. So Friend drives blockchain. This is actually a really good video about the platform and how it works. So definitely recommend to check out their YouTube channel because there's a lot of good information on their YouTube channel. And then they have what they call their 5 pillars of Friend, which is freedom, integration, intelligence, empowerment, and privacy. Obviously, these are key differentiators between decentralization and centralization when it comes to operating systems and virtual machines. So obviously, moving to the blockchain, all these things are what they want to be able to integrate into their platform, as opposed to Amazon Web Services or Google platforms that have these similar types of technology. Going along with blockchain technology, of course, they plan on having this all open source, so you can actually go to their GitHub and actually see the information that their technology is based on, and it'll also work with integrating APIs and protocols for existing platforms and for developers to start working on this. There's a full documentation page for developers, which is very interesting, being that this type of project generally would not have very technical documents, but they do have great documentation for developers to be able to build on their platform and to be able to utilize the information that they have already available for building new integrations for projects, for applications, and so forth. So I think it's nice that they actually have that information for developers. And then they talk about how you use the Friend cloud computer. As I mentioned, it can be utilized in any type of device to be able to access your information. And they plan on building a liquid software solution, so it allows you to basically utilize multiple applications and have the same instance of your machine. So think of this as a virtual machine on the web. Going to the list of advisors and evaluators for the team, they do have a good range of individuals from the blockchain and technology field. A lot of them have a lot of history in the blockchain field as well as just IT in general. I have gone through some of these individuals' LinkedIn pages, and they do have quite a bit of history with projects as well as many years experience in the IT realm. So these are not young individuals for the most part. So they do have a range of information that they can actually bestow upon the project. So key points that they mention here for their global deployment: that it is a powerful platform for developers. It connects arbitrary technologies and deploys them onto the internet. It reduces development overhead by providing a framework for the user, access, and file management. So it is very plug and play. It is a very easy platform to be able to deploy on, as well as quick. So when they need to be able to deploy something, they can easily deploy it to multiple instances as well as individual systems. So it talks about it here where it says Friend lets developers connect their applications to other apps, and it allows for the creation of distributed systems that allow applications to share data and functionality. So the coding, the computing, and the storage So this is all dynamic and cooperative among 2 or many nodes to offer scaling, efficiency, and truly the best of breed in features and capabilities across any work domains. Basically, they can actually roll out virtual computer templates, which also allows organizations to deploy applications and services with zero deployment cost. So if you ever work in the IT industry and a company needs to deploy a new piece of software, it is very difficult to be able to deploy that across the whole system. Individuals have to actually remotely access your computer or physically be at a computer to do a software upgrade, install software, uninstall software, or do anything along those lines. But with the simple deployment plan that Friend has, they will be able to easily deploy this information with zero deployment cost. So really interesting to be able to do a one-click install across multiple platforms and individual virtual computer templates that you can build for different resources in the organization. Here's a good representation of how the platform works and how it can access different existing technologies out there right now. Ethereum, Golem, Google Drive, Dropbox, Swarm, IPFS, Box, Microsoft Azure, SIA, Whisper, and other companies along those lines. So they have the ability to actually work and integrate with the different existing platforms that are currently happening as of right now. The way to think about the Friend Virtual Box basically is that they can utilize a platform that makes the users have it as their base system where you can securely access all your data, applications, and services wherever you are and whatever device you're using. It also is the basis of where your social media can be. And of course, being on the blockchain, security is always the first main aspect when it comes to doing things. So security is always a main concern. So having something like the Friend virtual machine would actually be a huge benefit as opposed to utilizing your existing system for certain tasks and certain utilizations. So really neat features that they have. That kind of changes the way you think about cloud computing. Touting themselves as the virtual computer for the next internet, Friend discusses, as I mentioned earlier, about how much time is wasted from universities' IT departments in deploying software on the devices. So they basically are talking about what it would be like if they had an easy and quick solution where you can get people up and running within minutes. Basically, Friend allows people to create their own individual virtual computer within seconds, choosing a template that suits their needs, even their visual preferences. All the applications will be built on that, and then an administrator can generate a key for their access. Through the computer templates, they can actually create individual user groups for the different departments or for the different users in the individual organization. So it is an interesting way of being able to deliver multiple types of applications and software and user interfaces that might be different for individuals who need different functionality. Their liquid software basically allows for switching from one device to another and having no effect on the actual cloud computer itself. So you can actually have the same data present on the computer if you log off your mobile device and log on to a laptop to utilize the system, so everything is still maintained on one machine. And they also have the ability to access legacy applications. Of course, the applications built directly for the Friend platform will be the fastest, but they will allow for other applications to be available on the system. So they will most likely have the availability to run Mac or Linux or Windows applications within the system. And here is a visual representation of how their system would look and how their actual Friend machine would be, with the chat, the system, the command prompt, or the shell, and then being able to access different applications. This is more like Linux or a Mac machine. And then there's a lot of language here that talks about why they would create a virtual computer that runs on the internet, and basically it talks about ownership, rights, accessibility, and being able to have that interoperability between systems and devices. Zero deployment costs, as I mentioned before. Users can build a system and immediately access it right after it's created, and all the different portions of the cloud computer can be modified, from the default applications, the themes, the storage access control depending on what type of users there are, and then the different sets of settings and links to resource can all be stored as the templates, so different users can all have custom configurations depending on their access rights. And this shows all the different devices, as I mentioned before, that can access the system. So they plan on making it user-friendly and available for anyone. And as the friend applications will be the fastest, the legacy applications will also be available. And the web optimized framework will allow for the user interface and the responsiveness for slower connections to allow for people to utilize the applications much easier. So some of the features that are available for developers, as I mentioned, this is supposed to make it as easy and compliant framework for developers to build networking APIs for the Friend network. It is a device agnostic GUI, so utilizing HTML templates and Windows management allows for different devices to be utilized. So it's not as client specific, so they don't have to build something for iOS and build something for Windows and one for Mac. All the UI will be built into the same framework. The file system API will be available and utilized for supporting multiple file system drivers, game engines, and the list goes on. So there's more information here on their website where they have documentation for developers. They have a programmers in general, programmers interacting with the Friend core server, and basic use of the Friend shell as well as shell scripting. So there's quite a bit of information here when it comes to the actual project and for developers themselves. So I thought this was really interesting and great information for people who want to get involved with the project. The Friend token is a utility token, and they have different ways of utilizing it. So Friend will be used for paying for applications and services in the Friend store. Just like a centralized app store, the Friend store will be able to offer a convenient way for users to find applications, games, and digital services. Friends will allow developers to offer subscription models. So they would be using a software called License Rocks to offer state-of-the-art functionality and fair revenue sharing for both developers, content creators, and other creatives. Friend will also reward users who run Friend servers, and the Friend core will contain functionality to enable microtransactions based on the transferred bytes as well as storage and CPU utilization. And they will also reward Friend workspace users who offer legitimate services through the Friend store served from their Friend client, either in a web browser or through the Friend app. So there's multiple utilization needs for the actual token. So it is not just a proprietary token for one main thing. It is actually for the whole ecosystem for the Friend platform. So a lot of good information, being able to serve up data, build DApps, pay for services on the platform, and so forth. Looking at their roadmap, they do have a very comprehensive roadmap. I will open this, but it actually has, as you can see, all these different dots. There are many, many layers of the actual project, and they actually go into very minute details on that information, which I think is really great. Obviously, it's overwhelming, but it is good to see that they have as much detailed information available to the users as possible. Some of the main things that they talk about is the actual Friend network, which is basically the distributed computing, how they plan on building that and enhancing it. There's the storage, which is basically the storage for the file system and the different options that they have from SIA, storage, IPFS, Swarm, Tahoe, Lofts. So these are the different integrations that they could work with and utilize for its storage methods. Then they have the Friend store, and they talk about how the Friend store will be a global marketplace in the Friend network and how the applications in the storefront will work with integration in the ecosystem. Then the actual workspace itself. So this is the UI, the usability, the design of the actual application itself, and how the environment will work with different systems, with different legacy applications, and so forth. They also talk about their templates, which is what I had mentioned multiple times, and that basically is how they can configure different users within the system. Looking at their enhanced roadmap here, you can see the actual details of their roadmap, and they go down into blockchain integration, decentralized scaling, the Friend store, the Golem integration, Filecoin, Friend network, Friend core, Friend workspace, Friend chat, Friend create, Liberator open source, streamer integration, the Android app, the iOS app, the Windows app, the Friend book app, the Friend shell. And then they go into each quarter. So would never be able to accomplish going through all these things, but there's a lot of information here that talk about all the different quarters for 2018 as well as 2019 that they actually go all the way actually to 2021. So a lot of information here on their roadmap. So they have a huge list of items that they plan to accomplish in the next couple of years. So it is great to see that they have as much information available to the public on where they see themselves going until 2021. Looking at their actual roadmap, they have a lot of information about their existing integrations or what they plan to integrate within their platform and how they're going to work. So as I mentioned before, all the different existing platforms for centralized storage as well as decentralized storage on how they want to integrate eventually into the Friend platform. The rapid application development, which allows for them to maximize the amount of users they can reach as from a developer standpoint using an equivalent of .NET for the decentralized web. They'll basically accelerate the process of making the decentralized web available to everyone, everywhere. And basically, they can develop applications that take advantage of decentralized technologies like Ethereum and other blockchains by creating easy-to-use, understandable APIs and cross-integration structures. The power of the Web 3.0 will be easier to wield, and we'll see rapid adoption in the form of a large number of great new end user applications and solutions. So they basically want to be able to integrate an application as easy as possible from a developer standpoint. They want to be able to have a core list of applications that they can utilize and build off of for their platform. Data ownership and security. So Friend provides flexible options to store data in the cloud. They give the users and the developers the freedom to choose the storage provider that they prefer. We have a developer standardization way to integrate any storage solution and make it accessible to the users in a coherent and cross-compatible way. Users can connect to services like Google Drive, Dropbox Storage, IPFS, IPDB, in addition to the built-in storage that resides on the Friend node. So I'm not sure how they are actually going to build a standardized way of integrating any storage solution. Obviously, it might just be specific ones, but I beg to differ on how they say that they've built a standardized way to integrate with any storage solution, but it is interesting to see that they do have the existing ones that are the major players right now anyway. So JavaScript applications are executed in secure sandboxes that have limited access to various functionality using per application permissions. This allows for safe interactions between multiple applications running on a single device. So if you guys have ever used a sandbox system, it basically allows an application to be run in its own instance and it won't interact or harm another piece of software. A lot of white hat individuals who test software use a sandbox to make sure that there's no viruses or bad corrupted data on an application before running it in real time. So this is how they plan on securing the different instances of the Friend network. The Friend unifying platform today, so they give a little overview about Friend. So Friend is already a versatile open source platform for application development and deployment. Developers can build rich distributed multi-platform applications. Friend allows for zero deployment costs on existing infrastructure. Friend network offers a peer-to-peer and server-to-server network. Friend Workspace is a full-fledged responsive HTML5 based desktop environment, proving the versatility of our framework. We have built several core applications on top of the workspace, and that can help you design and use your cloud infrastructure. Our existing components have been heavily tested by users. So as far as the background of the project, they said they started development in February of 2014, and it is currently at version 1.1. They have released an open source software on GitHub, and it's still in its infancy, but it has reached an advanced stage of development and is operationally ready to use. So they would probably be in the past the beta stage, but in the early stages of the product itself. The platform was heavily influenced by the Cambridge distributed computing system that was developed back in the 80s as a distributed operating system at Cambridge. This system was an early rethink of Unix with several innovations on user interface and resource management. More on this in our tech paper. So basically, they rethought how the Cambridge distributed computing system worked, and they utilized that on a decentralized manner. So here you can see how it actually works and how the actual modules work on the platform within the storage and the applications and the HTML5 actual UI. So even though the Friend applications are distributed separately, the Friend workspace offers a useful capability to run multiple applications and services using a single sign-on or an integrated environment. It can serve as a powerful distribution solution featuring a compelling collaborative environment for workgroups and teams. At the same time, it allows administrators to design and maintain their cloud infrastructure with GUI tools. So basically, multiple applications can all be stored within the one system as opposed to just utilizing one platform or one type of software on the actual cloud system itself. Looking at their competitors, obviously one of the main competitors when it comes to actual operating systems that are cloud-based is Chrome OS, especially with Chrome Enterprise and the built-in add-ons that they offer right now. So Friend will be able to offer a unique and independent open source offering which will be hard to match by any provider. They also talk about the other types of services that are out there, such as software as a service, SaaS, desktop as a service, DaaS, as well as platform as a service, which is PaaS. So these are other considered competitors in the platform field. So they feel that they will be able to compete with them because those only mainly use Windows applications or proprietary cloud storage. So with the decentralized Friend platform, they plan on being able to use legacy applications as well as their own. So going back to the data, they have mentioned that the decentralized cloud will utilize multiple storage solutions, but they also are going to be utilizing future technology as well as ever-evolving technologies come out and they can complement their offering. So obviously IPFS, Filecoin, Golem, Fluence, Sonum, iExec, Storage, BigChainDB are just a few of the key players right now, but they do plan on utilizing different ones moving forward. So looking at the token sales statistics, they talk about the breakdown of how many Friend tokens per 1 Ether it is. So 1 Ether is 20,000 Friend tokens. The minimum Ether amount is 25,000 and the medium amount of Ether is 50,000 and a maximum Ether of 75,583 tokens. The percentage of the tokens generated to the Friend team is 6% and the percent of tokens generated for FNAS is 12%. They plan to start the ICO on April 16th and May 16th for the end. Right now we're still in the pre-sale stage, so obviously these dates are not correct. I believe they will update it once they do have the actual confirmed date. They plan on generating at least 500 million Friend tokens and the maximum of 2 billion Friend tokens during the ICO, and that matches up with the Ethereum counts, which is approximately 1.64 billion participants. So that talks about the max and minimum, of which the Friend team and the FNAS will have 360 million tokens. So there are incentive and bonuses for the actual token sale. If the participants helping them reach their minimum goal of 25,000 Ethereum, they'll receive 15% additional tokens, or if they meet the medium, which is 50,000 Ethereum, they'll receive 10% additional, as well as an airdrop for the community. Depending on if they hit the medium and maximum, they'll also do an airdrop to the actual community. Looking at their budget, they have different budget models depending on the minimum financing, the maximum financing. They talk about the breakdown of where they're actually putting this proceeds. This is not an ideal breakdown for me personally when it comes to budgets because they do give the team a huge chunk of the change. They do talk about it here in the maximum on the notes, where they say that their Friend team is going to be basically a 30 plus employees within 4 years. So they actually, or 25 within 3 years in the minimum. So they're realizing how many people they're going to hire and where this cost is going to be tied up. It doesn't seem like it's going to be an available supply immediately, but it does look like the actual cost for the token supply, that almost 50% of it is going to be going to the actual team. Not a big fan. I like the actual tech getting most of it. I don't really see too much information where the financing is going into the tech, but I guess since they have a working product, they're not putting as much money in there. So that definitely is one of my only concerns with the project or the white paper itself. And then there's a huge list of use cases for the project. So they talk about data analysis, universities, small hosting sites, non-governmental organizations, archaeological research groups, large construction projects, emergency response teams, general practitioner consultation, tech support, obviously, and then they talk about their team. So there's a lot of information here on the use cases that I think are relevant. Obviously, with building virtual machines in the tech field, there's a huge need for it, and obviously being able to deploy multiple instances very quickly, make updates to instances is not very easy. So having this cloud software or cloud computing will allow for individuals to basically update and make any necessary changes available that they need to. So I think it's really interesting how they approach this different type of technology and using the decentralized web to compete with those of the likes of Amazon Web Services. So going back to the actual page, I just wanted to give my recap of what I think about the project and how I think they're going to perform. Obviously, it is a very, very long-term project, but I think with the virtual machine field and the virtual operating systems, I think it is actually a really nice niche for decentralized blockchain technology, because the world of tech right now, when it comes to things like virtual machines or virtual computers or operating systems, I think decentralizing them would be a huge plus when it comes to being able to offer the services better cost, easier, more secure, and not having to rely on siloed software, siloed services that are currently out there right now. So having this mass adoption, having these templates that they have built, I think it is a really cool project. Obviously, I'm still waiting for my demo information to be available to me. I might do a follow-up video of just the demo itself, but I think the platform itself is really interesting. Just looking at their videos, I think they have a solid project when it comes to how they plan on things and how they've structured their software and utilizing existing data sources on the decentralized web. So things like the IPFS and storage and so forth. Obviously, they will eventually give more information on the ICO, and once I have that information, I will share it with you. But I hope you guys like this. Please like, subscribe, shoot me a comment, let me know what you guys think. I definitely am going to be keeping my eye out on this ICO for when it gets released and the token sale information is out there. Obviously, it's only available right now as a pre-sale. So I hope you guys like this. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you again for watching. Really appreciate it.